We need to know, without a doubt, that she is alive and that you have her. We want to hear from you, and we are ready to listen. Please reach out to us.
Our Melissa Dunn joins me now, along with retired FBI agent Brad Garrett, plus former NYPD Chief of Detectives Robert Boyce. Melissa, let's talk more about what we know at this moment while we wait for this live press conference out of Tucson about the investigation.
Kira, this is just absolutely horrifying and puzzling, right, Kira? At this point, we still have so many questions as we are now in day 5 of this search for 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie. At this point, we have heard that the FBI is working with the Pima County Sheriff's Department, assisting with them, but still reiterating to us that the Pima County Sheriff's Department is the lead on this investigation. Now, the FBI, what they're providing is really critical help, right? Making sure that they have the needs necessary in case there's a hostage negotiation, a conversation, those tactics, and also really important, how they're going to be able to help analyze and see if these ransom letters that several media outlets have said they've received are legitimate. That is incredibly critical in all of this, Kira, and that's what we're waiting to hear from the officials here and from this Sheriff's Department press conference, if they have an update on that, because we are just hanging on now to so many developing details. And Kira, really listening to Savannah's plea, it is absolutely heartbreaking.
Yes, it sure is. And Brad, you're an experienced hostage negotiator. What's the thinking with the family releasing a video like that in this particular moment?
So you want to accomplish several things, which I think Savannah did beautifully. One is humanizing the person that was taken. She does a great job, calls her mommy, talks about how loving she is, how important she is, how she's on medication, and they just want to bring her home. And, there's two other components that are also important, that they want, these are my words, not hers, proof of life, and made a comment that, that can be faked, that they want the real thing, and they want to hear from the kidnappers. Because clearly, for whatever reason, assuming that these, lack of a better term, ransoms are being sent to the media, has anybody really ever talked to the family or law enforcement, the real kidnapper? That's what I'm talking about. And the answer appears to be no. So hopefully this will maybe unearth that person to reach out.
Bob, but I guess, yeah, let me take this to you, Bob, and you might want to weigh in on this as well, of course, Brad. But how do you know this isn't a hoax?
With detailed information within the notes will tell you whether there's validity to it, is credible and genuine note. And so if that was delivered, because we don't know everything, but we're hearing certain things about a deadline and cryptocurrency, all kinds of things, that would tell you a level of sophistication if these in fact are genuine. And I think what just to underscore what Brad said, she was poised and pained at the same time, which is not easy to do, but she got her message across in a strategic narrative, which is important to note.
So, Bob, also detectives have turned Nancy Guthrie's home over to her family. Why would they do that if this is still an active investigation?
Yeah, Kira, it's a great question. I wouldn't have done that, to be perfectly honest with you, because there's no point to it. She's the only one who lived there. I would have kept that because you were waiting on information coming from those cameras. And Sheriff Nato said that. Chris said, we're waiting on it once we go back in. They went back in, and they were probably, I'm thinking, pointed to probative areas in the home where they may get some forensics. So I don't think there's a death toll by them letting it go. But going back in now, it shows me that they got some new information. That's what I was looking at.
So you think we should get some new information from this press conference here that they're getting ready for as we follow the live pictures out of Tucson, Bob?
I do. I am hoping for something new from this, especially about the notes and especially about going back into the crime scene. The sheriff has been reluctant to give us too much information. I don't think we'll see the FBI here today. And if we do, I'd be surprised. The FBI doesn't like to talk to the press, and for good reason. We have a term in New York: talk to the press, talk to the pro. And that's important to understand too.
I'll remember that line. Brad, FBI Director Kash Patel now expected to head there to Arizona and oversee the investigation. President Trump is directing all federal law enforcement to assist. So how could all these additional resources help?
Well, I don't know about the director going there will help. but certainly having tech agents, people that probably from the FBI's evidence response team, to sort of tap into what Bob said. I mean, they could take 3D lasers in and create 3D images of the house. That becomes helpful as the case moves on, because you literally can move around the house without actually being in it. If there is blood, I realize there's some suggestion there might be blood by the front door. I don't know that that's true. Let's say it is for 1 second. You might be able to, through blood spatter experts, figure out maybe to a certain extent what happened, how extensive were the injuries, maybe the type of weapon they used. And also, the FBI may have different techniques, probably do, in collecting trace DNA. And they would go into various parts of the house and see if they get lucky that the local officials didn't pick up on. Because if there was a tussle inside that house, and it certainly appears that there was, despite the fact that the victim's 84 years old, is the bad guy or guys may have made a mistake and left some trace DNA. You can certainly hope so.
So let me follow up with another question with you, Brad, since, you know, you've done so much hostage negotiating over the years with the FBI. I want to take it back to this, you know, really heartfelt and gut-wrenching video that Savannah and her sister and brother put out. And they seem to be addressing possible captors, saying, we're ready to listen. They use those specific words. Right. Do you think the fact that they put this video out and used these specific words, used this certain language, even said, we're here, we're ready to listen, I don't want to jump to any conclusions, but does that lead you to definitely believe that this is not a hoax, that this is a kidnapping with a ransom, and this is the next move on behalf of law enforcement, was to get the family to put together this type of video?
Well, there is no doubt. I mean, something's got to move the needle here, and it didn't appear to be getting moved, despite the fact that all of the great things law enforcement are doing to get some sort of lead from a cell phone, from a car, from a license plate reader, you name it, our source and informant, to get it pointed toward an individual or individuals, which hopefully that's happened. It doesn't feel like it's happened. And so you're hoping that this type of video will create some sort of movement here. The other thing is separate it from the bad guys in this case and just think about the rest of us out in the world, in particular in Tucson. If, in fact, somebody knows a piece of maybe what happened, or they've heard a neighbor say something, or something's not strange next door or down the street, it's those kind of tips that you want, because it may lead you right to Nancy and hopefully the bad guys.
Again, we're watching the live pictures out of Tucson, Arizona, waiting for law enforcement to step up to the mic. We are not sure if we are going to get any new information or not. We're hoping to get new details about what could be happening with regard to Nancy Guthrie, her whereabouts, this ransom note that we have heard so much about. Bob Boyce, I want to bring you back in as we wait to hear from authorities from a law enforcement perspective, someone who has spent so many years as a detective in charge of all detectives there at NYPD. What are you hoping is the next move here? There's been, of course, everybody does Monday morning quarterbacking and thinks that things should have moved a lot more swiftly, that the press conferences at times had been a little awkward. Your thoughts of what, I guess, the positives of what you see now and what you are hoping to see more of at this point.
So, Kira, when you look at these things, and I've done so many press conferences, but a sheriff like this, Sheriff Nanos, it's a game changer. He's never done this before, at this level anyway, this international level, which is what it is, an international case. So you understand that you're going to make make some trip ups, and you're going to do well. And he has, to a certain extent. I wouldn't take as many questions as he did the other day because it became repetitive, that he wasn't being transparent. And sometimes you can't be transparent. It's confidential information that may hurt your case that you want to talk about. But there's other things you can as well. Those doorbell cameras in that area, if we kind of like looked at a 2 a.m. type of thing, and that's what they're going to take a hard look at, that 2 a.m. time frame. Was there any lights going any different direction near a house? That's important to understand, whether it's exiting or entering the crime scene. And this way you can tell where the perps went, which way they went, and which highway they went. That's painstaking stuff. He could talk about that. And develop that a little bit further, the time of occurrence, which is really important. He may not want to get into the note and the intricacies of it and that investigation as far as cryptocurrency. That's really important as well. But that's better left unspoken until you get there. These cases, they go very slow for a while, then all of a sudden they're expedited and you're going as fast as you can. I've been here through this. This is tough going, tough sledding, let's say, and you have to really understand where you're going with technology, as well as what you deduce certain things. Was there any cameras, any prior surveillance on the location? Were there any set cameras on the property, which is about an acre big? All those things need really a hard search, and it looks like it's being done and has been done so far.
Brad, as former FBI, another question to you. FBI Director Kash Patel, now headed to Arizona to oversee all of this. As we may remember from the Charlie Kirk assassination, he jumped the gun when he jumped in on that case and was taking the lead and talking to the press and was out there tweeting. In your humble opinion, do you think that this is what the director of the FBI should be doing right now? Absolutely not. And not even going to this scene. I mean, I was in the FBI for over 2 decades, and I worked some really high-profile cases, and I never saw the FBI director except in his office. And so I'm not sure, as I mentioned to you earlier, it's not going to help this situation. I mean, the agents know what they're doing. Their management knows what they're doing. They know the city. They know Tucson. They know the county. And what's he going to add other than hopefully he won't jump the gun at this one? But we'll see. It's a job that he's redefined into something I don't even want to talk about on camera. And so as a result, he doesn't really have, I don't think, the credibility in going out in the field and sort of holding these press conferences other than self-promotion, it feels like, certainly. All right. What we're going to do, we probably have about 4.5 minutes until we're going to hear from law enforcement. So why don't we do this, guys? Let's go back and take a look at Savannah Guthrie, her sister Annie, her brother Cameron, and this gut-wrenching video that they put together, this plea, really, to captors, that they want to know that their mom is alive and that they are ready to talk, they are ready to listen. Let's take a look at that as we move closer to the live event.
On behalf of our family, we want to thank all of you for the prayers for our beloved mom, Nancy. We feel them, and we continue to believe that she feels them too. Our mom is a kind, faithful, loyal, fiercely loving woman of goodness and light. She's funny and spunky and clever. She has grandchildren that adore her and crowd around her and cover her with kisses. She loves fun and adventure. She is a devoted friend. She is full of kindness and knowledge. Talk to her and you'll see.
The light is missing from our lives. Nancy is our mother. We are her children. She is our beacon. She holds fast to joy in all of life's circumstances. She chooses joy day after day, despite having already passed through great trials of pain and grief. We are always going to be merely human, just normal human people who need our mom. Mama. Mama, if you're listening, we need you to come home. We miss you.
Our mom is our heart and our home. She is 84 years old. Her health, her heart is fragile. She lives in constant pain. She is without any medicine. She needs it to survive. And she needs it not to suffer. We too have heard the reports about a ransom letter in the media. As a family, we are doing everything that we can. We are ready to talk. However, we live in a world where voices and images are easily manipulated. We need to know, without a doubt, that she is alive and that you have her. We want to hear from you, and we are ready to listen. Please reach out to us. Mommy, if you are hearing this, you are a strong woman. You are God's precious daughter, Nancy. We believe and know that even in this valley, He is with you. Everyone is looking for you, Mommy, everywhere. We will not rest. Your children will not rest until we are together again. We speak to you every moment, and we pray without ceasing, and we rejoice in advance for the day that we hold you in our arms again. We love you, Mom.
Love you, Mom.
We love you, Mom. Stay strong.
We love you, Mom. We love you.
Savannah Guthrie, her sister Annie, and her brother Cameron there making that plea to whomever may have their mother, asking them to please reach out and talk to them, that they are ready to listen. We now pause for the ABC network to join our breaking news coverage. Pima County, Arizona, is holding a briefing on the urgent search for the mother of Today's Show host, Savannah Guthrie. Let's take you straight to authorities now.
It was just kind of chaotic, people yelling. So I'd ask that you just kind of be patient with me, pay attention to the questions asked, because sometimes you guys want to ask the same question twice, and you get the same answer. So help yourself, get what you can out of this. I'm going to give you one question and a follow-up, okay? But before we get there, I do have some comments. First of all, I want to begin by offering our condolences to our partners at the state Department of Public Safety's tragically lost 2 members last night in a helicopter crash up in northern Arizona. So if you would keep them in your prayers, Colonel Glover and his team, I'm sure, would have greatly appreciated it. Along the same lines, I think you all saw last night, I'm trying to speak up, not yell, because apparently I talk soft. We saw last night the family, they just hurt, understandably so. And so I really want you to know this entire team here, those behind me, and our community are hurting with you. We really just want Mom back, okay? Right now, we believe Nancy is still out there. We want her home. Our department, the Sheriff's Department, along with all of our partners at the FBI, have been working around the clock. And we just want her home and get and find a way to get to the bottom of all of this, just as you do. But I have other partners out there who have stepped up, and you've probably noticed them in the last few days, if not the last few hours, and you're going to see more of that. Well, I made a decision to contact our PCRIT team, and those of you not local, that's our Pima Regional Critical Incident Team. It's made up of law enforcement officers from this entire valley. Pasquayaki Police Department, Tucson Police Department, Marana Police Department, Oro Valley Police Department, Pima College Police Department, Tucson International Police Department, Sarita Police Department. There's so many of them, and they are going to help us tremendously. And that's really done because we have so much in front of us still, and we're hoping that, I know the FBI has committed a very large number of men and women to partner with us, work side by side with us. We go do an interview, they're going to be there with us. We're going to go look at some evidence or process evidence, they're going to be right there with us. We're sharing every piece of information, all the data we can to get this thing solved. And it's important that my partners in law enforcement know and understand their roles, because it is very large, complex investigation with a lot of moving parts. And we're at that phase now where sometimes we're waiting, right? We're waiting for analysis. We're waiting for lab reports. But even then, when they come back quickly, for example, some DNA, we rushed what we thought was the best target for DNA. We did a rush through and got some of that back. The results were minimal. I think you all know of the blood on the porch. That was one we did. It came back to Nancy. That's what we know. But there's still more items that have been submitted. We just haven't got them back yet. But in the meantime, we're not just sitting on our haunches waiting. We do have a number of leads coming in, and that's why we brought in the FBI for one, but PCRIT as well, to be able to get out there and handle these leads as they come in as quickly and as expeditiously as we can. And every single lead is looked at, every one of them. And so we're gearing up. You probably have some questions about what you've seen in the last couple of days. I'll gladly answer those at that time. But it really is about getting our partners out there. To be fair, when we went to that scene the first night, Saturday night, it was just us. Since then, the FBI and others have asked, can we go and see it as well? And that's what you've been seeing. But it is a very important case to not just me and my team, but this entire community, all of our law enforcement partners. Suspects. I know there's been a lot out there about suspects, and I want to be very clear. At this time, we have not identified a suspect or a person of interest in this case. We are working our best to do that. But to be clear, we have nobody of interest or any suspects that you would consider a prime suspect. We're just not there. We're not there yet. The timeline, I think we've got it on the board, do we not? This is a timeline that we have been able to develop with some of the things that we've had processed. Various pieces of electronics that we've gathered. And you look at some of this, and I know you're going to say, well, why did it take you so long to get this to us, Sheriff? Well, because one thing, it's got to go out and be processed at different lab sites. And sometimes that stuff comes back to us, and like you, we have questions. And we say, wait a minute, what is this about? What about this? Could it be that? And so it's sent back, or it's sent somewhere else. So, and that's happening with all of the things we see, that process, that review, and that questioning of, all right, what is it we're looking at? So I'll go over it with you. You can see it on the board there, but at about 5:32 p.m., these are approximate times. 5:32 p.m., Nancy travels to her local family's home for dinner and playing games with the family. And just visiting. At 9:48 p.m., which is very consistent to what we were told by the family, that Nancy was dropped off at home, and we know that because we have a garage door open at approximately, I can't stress that enough, at approximately 9:48 p.m. At 9:50 p.m., that garage door closes. It is that time we assume that Nancy's home and probably going to bed. Sunday morning, early morning at 1:47 a.m., the doorbell camera disconnects. At 2:12 a.m., software detects a person on a camera, but there's no video available. They had no subscription, and therefore it would rewrite itself. It just kind of loops, right, and covers up. That's what our analysis teams have told us. We're not done with that. We'll do all we can, but that's what it says. So that detects a person on camera. Could that be an animal? I imagine that's possible. We don't know that. We just have no video. But we're not giving up on that. 2:28. Nancy's pacemaker app shows that it was a disconnect from the phone. And at 11:56 a.m., the family checks on Nancy and discovers her missing. And at 12:03 p.m., 911 is called in to the Pima County Sheriff's Department. I believe it's about approximately 10 minutes later, 12 minutes later, our patrol teams arrive. They see the scene, and we start our response with our search and rescue teams and our detectives from homicide and various units. In fact, every unit here, I think somebody questioned, how come there's an ICAC member out here or this member? Everybody in our criminal investigations team is a part of this team and part of this investigative effort. I think with that, let me make sure. Now, I want to clarify some things that I may have already done, but yeah, I've gone over with the blood at the front door, the doorbell camera. It was removed, we know that, but we're not confirming that any cameras were smashed or destroyed around the house. I don't know where that came from, but that's something we're not confirming. The car, the car that was at the home, it's just standard investigative practices. It's part of the search warrant scene, court orders. We pull it out of there and do our scene processing with the vehicle. Uber, we did speak to a driver because Nancy, we learned, had been taken the Uber to the family residence, the daughter, for dinner. And we located that driver and spoke with them and got that information. The house, you guys got this, I think, conducting follow-up. I think you said somebody had mentioned that they saw a team out there again last night or yesterday, and that's just, again, what I was talking about before. Our partners wanted a chance to see it and examine things themselves, and more importantly, it's just we're constantly following up on things and go, hey, what about this? So we want to go back and check on some things. Here's the other thing. Someone had mentioned there was forced entry. I have no clue where that comes from. We have been very consistent. We are not discussing that at all. Whether it's forced entry or not forced entry, that is something we're just not discussing. So I don't know where anybody got that information. I think I am about done with my piece of this. I'm going to bring up here Heath Yankee, and I think you know him if you haven't been here. John Edwards is the assistant agent in charge with the FBI here at the Tucson office. Heath Yankee is the special agent in charge for the state of Arizona out of Phoenix, and he will come up and speak.
Thank you, Sheriff. Hello, I'm Heath Yankee, the special agent in charge of the FBI's Phoenix Division. First, I want to let the Guthrie family know that our hearts are heavy for them. After seeing your message last night, it is clear that you and your family are in pain. Please know that we are doing everything to bring your mother home. The FBI is now working this case jointly with the Pima County Sheriff's Department, and we're going to start today by announcing a $50,000 reward for information leading to the recovery of Nancy Guthrie and or the arrest and conviction of anyone involved in her disappearance, and this will be the missing persons with the reward that will be going out. The FBI has agents, analysts, and professional staff employees working day and night with our partners at the Sheriff's Department. We have deployed additional intelligence and agents from our Phoenix office. We have brought in our Critical Incident Response Group from Quantico, Virginia. Members from our Cellular Analysis Survey team are here, and they continue to collect and process digital information. We are actively reviewing and analyzing information from all digital sources, which includes banks, social media companies, phone companies, and any other organizations where a digital footprint could have been captured. All this information provides data points and helps put the picture together. And we will be in the community continuing to conduct a thorough investigation with our partners. You heard about us out there last night. We will be back out there today. I would ask the media, give our investigators the space to do their jobs while they're out there. Next, regarding the ransom letter. We are aware of a ransom letter that was sent to the local media and then to national outlets. As with every lead, we are taking it seriously. We are in communication with the family, and while we advise and recommend from a law enforcement perspective, any action taken on any ransom is ultimately decided by the family. Thank you to those in the community that have called in tips. For anyone out there that may have information, no matter how small you think it may be, please report it. You can do so by calling 1-800-CALL-FBI or online at tips.fbi.gov. My next message is to those imposters who are trying to take advantage and profit from this situation. We will investigate and ensure you are held accountable for your actions. We have made one arrest related to an imposter ransom demand, and a complaint will be presented to a magistrate judge later today. You will get more on that from the FBI and our U.S. Attorney's Office here in Arizona when it becomes available. To anyone that may be involved, do the right thing. This is an 84-year-old grandma. This is an 84-year-old grandma that needs vital medication for her well-being. You still have the time to do the right thing before this becomes a much worse scenario for you. Please return Nancy home. Thank you.
Do I have a list?
All right, so you want to call them or you want me to call them?
You can call them up.
Okay, so the first person we're going to start with the list is going to be NBC National, Liz Kreitz. Right here.
Can you walk us through that timeline from when you believe, if you look at this here, from 147 to 228, what you think happened there and what particular software would have detected somebody on camera?
Yeah, I don't. I know we know the software that was there. But I'm not. I'm sorry. I'm just not in the weeds. I know that. Think of your doorbell cameras. Somebody walks up. My wife's. If I walk up, she gets an alert, and it's usually something like that. A person's detected.
So to understand then the following, one, does that mean that it was about a 45-minute span that this suspect or suspects would have been on the property? And then also, does this essentially mean that you've cooperated with the tech companies and you can officially say that no surveillance video is available from the home?
We know that the tech company that we sent that camera off to, yes, they've said they've run out of ways to recover any video.
Next person is going to be ABC News, Aaron Katersky.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Was what 45 minutes?
Can we say it's about a 45-minute span that somebody would have been on the property then, from 147 to 228?
Yeah, I think those times speak for themselves, and it is about, like I say, those are approximates. So yes. I'm sorry. Who was next? Did you say?
Aaron Katersky, ABC News.
Hi, Sheriff. Thanks very much.
Aaron Katersky, ABC News.
Hi, Sheriff. Thanks very much. Is there information that you are purposefully withholding because of the active investigation that might be leading you in a particular direction?
Criminal investigation that we conduct here. Law enforcement has conducted investigations since 1865 here in Pima County. We're always mindful of what it is that's in front of us and what we should release and can release. There's legal guidelines that guide us, but there's also strategy too. So, I'll leave that for you to determine.
Now that you are having such an injection of manpower from the PEMA critical incident team and the FBI, were you slow to bring that in at the outset? Should all of these resources been brought to bear sooner?
I guess that it's Monday morning quarterbacking. I do it all the time, so you have the opportunity to do it for me. I'll take that hit.
CBS News, Jonathan Vigliotti.
Sheriff, over here, has there been any proof of life, and has there been any sign of life?
I'm going to anything to deal with the ransom notes and that, I would defer to the FBI, but no, to my knowledge, we're still looking for Nancy.
And for my follow-up question, if I can speak with the special agent, what was it about this apparent ransom note that now 3 days on, you first haven't been able to validate, and second, it warranted informing the Guthries of its existence?
So the ransom note that was sent out there, obviously every lead in this case we are taking extremely serious.
But not everyone is presented to the family. Why this one?
Because this was the ransom that came in and it had facts associated with a deadline, with a monetary value they were asking for. So at that point...
What were some of those facts, if you can, because there's been a lot of speculation, as you know, if you could set the record straight.
Yeah, the ransom itself, one talked about an Apple Watch, and one talked about a floodlight. We're not going to go into specifics. It's very important that we keep this investigation moving forward, and we don't want to put more facts out there that others then can use to try to profit from this.
CNN, next, Ed Lavandera.
Hey, Agent, I want to follow up with you real quick on that. There have been, as far as we know, I think 3 ransom notes so far, 1 arrest. Are they all different? Or you think there's different authors behind all of them, or?
So the one that went to the media is the one we are currently investigating and working on. The imposter that I talked about, where an arrest was made early this morning, that there will be more information. We believe there's no evidence to connect this to Nancy's case. It was someone that was trying to profit from it, a total imposter.
And Sheriff, you started off the press conference by saying you believe that Nancy is still out there. Do you have reason to believe that she's still out there alive? Or are you fearful of the worst case scenario here, that she won't be found alive?
Well, I'm certainly fearful of that. I think we all are. But it is we operate from a position that until we know she's out there, she's alive, and we're going to continue thinking that way until we find her.
Fox Digital, Mike Reese.
Yeah, sir. Mike Reese from Fox Digital. Sheriff, you said you've identified no suspects. Have you ruled out anyone she was with on Saturday night?
You know, we've talked to so many. I'm sure that my investigators have feelings about this one's clear or this one isn't. But no, I wouldn't say anybody's ruled out yet, because what if I rule you out and then later I learn something else? No.
So my follow-up, you mentioned that you don't know where the reporting of a forced entry came from. Do we know how whoever did this got into her house?
That I would not discuss with you anyway.
Fox News, Paul Morrow.
Question for Agent Edwards, if I may. Agent Edwards, will the Bureau be submitting the DNA for an investigative genealogical investigation relative to maybe hitting a relative, somebody if you will?
I would say the DNA aspect of this case is being handled by the Pima County Sheriff's Department right now. However, should we get to that point, yes, that would be an option for the FBI to assist.
And a quick follow-up, does the ransom note that you're working establish any communication protocols in it?
No, it does not. And that is what I think is important, that if someone has Nancy and is demanding the ransom, that there is communication with the family. We talked about has been no proof of life. And there was no other demands within that letter. So they're still waiting for communication.
ABC affiliate, Ashley Holden.
Right here, Ashley Holden. When you say the doorbell camera was disconnected, do you believe that camera was taken?
We do not have it in our possession. We've not located it.
And then a follow-up. I know that we've been hearing a lot about ransom notes. We were also hearing in that video that was put out by the Guthrie siblings, and I don't know if this is a question for the FBI or yourself, but the challenges of seeing an image and knowing that it's real. Could one of you address that? Has the family received correspondence, any images, videos?
So we're not going to go into facts regarding this part of the investigation. I think part of that message was with AI these days, you can make videos that appear to be very real. So we can't just take a video and trust that that is a proof of life these days because of the advancements in AI and trying to actually get a proof of life that we can verify. But we're not going to go into anything the family may or may not have received.
KOLD, Catherine Patterson.
So in regards to a timeline on that ransom note, is that being an impact in your investigation? Are we nearing that timeline?
I'm sorry, one more time.
So in regards to the timeline in the ransom note, are we nearing that timeline? And is that playing a part in the investigation?
We're not going to go again into specifics of that part of the investigation with the ransom note other than what we've put out there. We've been transparent. We're talking about we are working that ransom demand, but we don't want to go anything further than that could impact any opportunities. So thank you.
Is there any additional physical evidence at the crime scene other than the technology that you guys are using for this timeline? Is there anything else that's helping you guys other than really the technology?
Well, I think I said on day one is that it's technology that's going to really help us solve this case. But no, I mean, you know, we did do a process of that scene for biological evidence, so we're still hopeful that maybe something will show up there as well.
Arizona Republic, Richard Relas.
Agent Yankee?
Yes.
We saw on the scene, I believe it was you, taking a tripod into the home of the sister. How involved was the FBI, if at all, in creating the video? Any advice for the family?
I would say we use our expertise and provide consultation and advice anytime a family would ask for our advice in a kidnapping. It's ultimately the family's decision of what they put out and any messages they put out. But we were, obviously, you're all documenting every move we make. We were there last night in talking with the family. But every decision is theirs.
Right, and that was a tripod and a ring light. And Sheriff Donovan, you said the blood was found on the porch and on the front stoop. Just wanted to verify that?
I say porch, front stoop. It's all in that same general area by the front door.
Front of the house.
Front door, yes.
What, given her medical condition and the fact that it was her blood, as you say, what would her medical condition do with her recovery if she indeed bled out or was bleeding when she left the house?
Well, again, I've got to be careful for HIPAA, but I would say this. We know she is in need of medication, daily medication. And we also know that this is day 4 or 5, and still we don't know that she's getting her medication. That could in itself prove fatal.
And for the,
No, that'll be that question. For K-Gun News, we have Craig Smith or Athena.
I'll get that for you. I'll get his name.
Craig?
K-Gun, Athena.
Oh, okay.
Have you been in communication with anyone who you believe could be the kidnapper?
You know, it goes back to what we talked about. Nobody's eliminated, but we just really don't have enough to say, this is our suspect, this is our guy, we know, or our gal. We just don't know that. And it's really kind of reckless to report that someone is a suspect when they could very well be a victim. It just, I bring to you, to the media, I plead with you to be careful of what it is we put out there, because we don't have anybody here listed as a suspect, and you could actually be doing some damage to the case, but you could do some damage to that individual too. This is social media is kind of an ugly world sometimes.
And how far out have you expanded your search, you say?
You know, I would tell you this. Look, nothing's off the table. if we get a lead that there's somebody, hey, you've got this over here or over here, we're going, and that will expand and expand and expand. I think the FBI with their billboards, they're now planning to put those up at every state around here, at all of our neighboring states. So we use you, the national media, the FBI with their national outreach to affect that for us. But as far as the actual investigation, naturally the scene is the primary, and we just keep spreading it out as we get more and more leads.
Court TV, Cody Thomas.
Hi there, Sheriff. Actually, my question is for Agent Yonke. You know, we saw Savannah Guthrie and her sibling family put out that video last night on Instagram addressing, you know, the tragedy that this is, but also addressing the ransom letter saying they're ready to talk. My question is, did the FBI or any other agency help them craft that message to put out on social media?
Like I said to the previous question, we have an expertise when it comes to kidnappings, and when families want advice, consultation, expertise, we will provide that. But the ultimate decisions on what they say and how they put that out rests with the family itself.
And as far as suspects, I know we haven't identified one, but what type of suspect or suspects do we think we're dealing with here?
At this time, like the sheriff has said, there is no primary suspect identified, so it could run the gamut. So.
KPNX, Troy Hayden.
Are you actively investigating the son-in-law in this case? I know there were reports earlier this week, and you refuted that. You said you haven't eliminated everybody. Have you eliminated him or come close to it, or are you actively looking at him?
We're actively looking at everybody we come across in this case. Everybody. We would be irresponsible if we didn't talk to everybody, the Uber driver, the gardener, the pool person, whoever, everybody. It's so cliche, but everybody's still a suspect in our eyes. That's just how we look at things and think as cops. Does that mean we have a prime suspect? No, and the family's been very cooperative. They've done everything we've asked of them, and we want that relationship to continue. And sometimes people can be mean out there, and that can really harm us and harm our efforts.
Did you find blood anywhere else in the home besides the porch?
The only DNA evidence we've got back is on the porch. We prioritize things and we rush things, and those items we put out to a lab to rush it. And even then, it's 2, 3, 4 days. The other items could take 10 days, 20 days, but we saw the importance of that blood. It came back to Nancy.
So it was only there, it wasn't anywhere else in the house?
I don't know that. We processed the house for biological evidence, and we've not gotten anything back.
Newsmax, Sarah Williamson.
Hi there. My question is just piggybacking off our colleagues here about how far this search has gone. When it comes to doorbell cameras, you say technology plays a critical role in this. Have you been actively door-knocking the neighbours and businesses and collecting those doorbell cameras? And is there anything that has come up there, and how far is that?
I can't tell you whether things have come up or not, but we have door-to-door. I think we're still doing door-to-door, not just in that neighborhood, but other neighborhoods. Just as leads come in and take us somewhere, we're going to do those things.
Okay, and just to follow up as well in regards to the video that was released by Nancy Guthrie's children last night, just to clarify, that was not coordinated with any law enforcement beforehand, and that you hadn't seen that video before it was released?
No, the FBI is handling all things with the ransom.
I think the answer was yes, we were there. The media was there. We can help coordinate, provide that consultation, but that is the family's decision of what they film and what they put out.
Fox 10, Justin Loom.
Agent Yonke, this one's for you. Following up on that video that was released yesterday, it said, ultimately any further action is decided on by the family. Since then, have they expressed any more interest in more efforts to try and get in contact with who is behind the ransom letter? And do you have a crisis or any sort of hostage negotiator with your team for that type of situation if it moves forward?
So the two parts of that question I think it's pretty clear. The family wants to be contacted. They know time is of the essence. And if those that may have Nancy are watching this, the family is ready to talk get proof of life because there has been no contact after that ransomware note or ransom note went to the media. For your second question, yes, we have crisis negotiators. That is part of our team here locally, along with the personnel we brought in from Quantico, and they will be part of it. But we're not going to go beyond that of any specifics.
Sure. Now, taking down the crime scene perimeter after Monday's investigation and really opening access to that property to everyone else, was that something you would do differently looking back, knowing that, federal authorities also conducted a search yesterday? Would you have kept that perimeter up, knowing that?
Monday morning quarterback, I probably would have, but I'll say this. We processed the scene. We got what we thought was complete. My team did that. I have to have all the faith and trust in their abilities and their skills, and I think they went through that pretty well. But because another agency now steps in and wants to assist, we're just like with you, we're an open book. Absolutely. How can we help? One of the things people don't see, I heard your question about, and we left and then others could walk up. When we process a scene and we're done, we return that scene to in this case, the homeowners, the family. And we don't just go march back in there. We call the family again and get permissions to go back to the home. So, yeah, there's, again, Monday morning quarterback, absolutely. I probably could have held off on that. We knew that the FBI, we've worked with them before in a lot of cases, and we felt like they could be of help in this with particularly the forensic analysis we use in a number of things. But at the start of this thing, we weren't sure what we had, and as the day progressed, we realized that there could be more to this, and we started in that. Remember, it was a search and rescue mission the first few hours, and we transitioned that over to a criminal investigation. With that, brought in our partners from the FBI and others.
Univision, Claudia Ramos. Univision, Claudia
I was
Ramos.
actually going to ask about that. We saw the message yesterday.
Are you next?
Claudia, yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Univision. Following up on that, we saw the message from the president yesterday. Have you personally received any communication from him or
No, and I wouldn't expect that. He too is a busy man, right? And I would say this: we thank him for him opening up his entire law enforcement team was put out yesterday, and we know, I know my local reporters here know. We've always worked well with all of our partners in law enforcement. Maybe it's something unique to Southern Arizona and the rest of the country doesn't see that, but this isn't new for us. We've done this. Gabby Giffords, I headed up that investigation many years ago, and we worked side by side. Could not have got things done if we weren't with the FBI on that.
And just the other question, this being a border state, have you guys had any communication with Mexican authorities?
I have not. I work closely with the Mexican consulate, as other consulates, being the sheriff, but no, I've not heard from them.
Arizona, Univision, Madrid.
Here. Hi, Sheriff. My question is, do you know, it's a two-part question, do you know what medication Nancy uses? And have you checked the local pharmacies and pharmacies around the state where they bought, per se, this medication to keep her alive, to keep her healthy, while still look for her? So
we do know what medications, and we have contacted pharmacies. Probably need to go back to just make sure that they didn't, maybe we contacted them early on. I know that night, Saturday night, Sunday morning, I know we were doing all the hospital checks, and that check was continuous every hour, going back out. And physically in person, deputies were going to each local area hospital and asking them to check their logs.
My second question here is, I know you're looking for her in Pima County. Are you looking for her across the state now? And if so, if there's a particular area that you're focusing on right now?
Well, we're looking for her everywhere, right? The FBI just made an arrest on a tip that we got that we thought there could be something here. It's statewide. The billboards are going to be out there across the country. We take leads from everywhere, and where those leads take us, we'll get there.
MS Now, Alex Talbot.
Agent Yankee, do you have any reason to believe that Nancy Guthrie may be being held outside of the country? Is that something that you ruled out at this point?
We don't have any of that information. We haven't ruled anything out. Like the sheriff said, we will follow the facts wherever they take us, whether it is outside of the state of Arizona or over the border. We will follow the facts and go there, but we have no indication anything over the Mexican border.
And you mentioned on the ransom note there were details about the Apple Watch and the floodlight.
Yep.
The ransom notes that were sent out to TMZ, KGUN, and KOLD, are they all the same ransom note? Do they contain the same details in each of those individual ransom notes?
The ones that I am tracking and aware of were the same. That went to TMZ also.
News Nation, Brian Enton.
Agent Yankee, sorry,
yes.
When did the first ransom note arrive? And the reason I ask is because the Apple Watch has been in the news and on social media, and you could see like floodlights on video. So was it before those things were out in the world?
I don't have the specific time frame as I sit here today of what time it came in, but that you are right. Anyone could see a floodlight hanging down, could have seen some of those things. The watch has been talked about, so that timing is tricky, but that's why we're taking it serious no matter what and following the leads on that. But I don't have the time frame that the first note came in as I sit here today. Thank you.
And my follow-up is for the sheriff. In the house, were there any signs that someone tried to clean up or maybe destroy evidence?
I can't talk about the crime scene, so I'll give you another shot, another question.
My other question is, I heard the agent say that it was a joint investigation now. At the other press conference, the FBI said they were assisting. Is it joint now? I mean, are both agencies in charge now?
Look, there's no ego here. We in this part of the country, we'll take anybody's help. It's not about, it's not about who's in charge. From day one, when we contacted the FBI, they were that gracious to say, whatever you need. And so that's really it. And they're great partners, just as my other local law enforcement brethren. I didn't even have to ask. That's what's really amazing. I haven't had to call anybody. They've called me. Sheriff, what do you need?
Arizona's family, Brianna.
We believe she's still out there. The most encouraging piece of information coming from this law enforcement presser in Tucson, Arizona, as the search continues for Nancy Guthrie. Let's get straight to our chief investigative correspondent, Aaron Katersky. He's there in Tucson. Aaron, still a lot to discover, but now a $50,000 reward being offered, and the news that they do believe Savannah Guthrie's mom is still there, out there.
The sheriff said it as much, Kira. We believe Nancy is still out there. We just want her home. And the FBI is now offering a $50,000 reward for information that leads either to her safe return or to the arrest and conviction of a suspect who may be involved in her disappearance. And we also learned the most definitive timeline yet, Kira, that suggests if, in fact, Nancy Guthrie was abducted, that it happened early in the morning on Sunday during a 45-minute window when a security camera seemed to sense, there's no pictures, but there was a sense that somebody was in the house. This was at about 1:47 in the morning. A doorbell camera is disconnected. Software a few minutes later detects a person going inside. There's no video, and then her pacemaker is disconnected from her phone a short time later. These are critical details that the authorities are now confirming, along with blood that was found at the scene that comes back to Nancy Guthrie. Kira.
Aaron, thank you. Also, we have our contributor and former FBI agent Brad Garrett. Brad, the question was asked if law enforcement still believe that she is alive. And you heard the sheriff there. We operate from a position that until we know otherwise, she's alive. Your thoughts?
Well, I think it's perfectly appropriate, Kara, to be optimistic. I think he's it's wishful thinking, probably. Again, I don't know what he knows, but if they don't have a suspect and they don't really know the particulars, other than some really disturbing things at the scene, in particular, the blood at the front door, and the question about the movement of a guy in a house, it's all difficult to figure out.
Brad, thank you. And of course, anyone with information is being urged to call either of the numbers that you see here on your screen. We are going to return to our regular programming. Our coverage, of course, continues on ABC News Live and abcnews.com. David Muir will be here with the entire team for World News Tonight. I'm Kira Phillips here in Washington, D.C. I'll see you back over on the channel.
This has been a special report from ABC News.
I gotcha. All right, let's get right back to Tucson, Arizona. Now, the rest of that press conference on the search for Nancy Guthrie, the mother of Today's Show anchor Savannah Guthrie. Let's listen in.
Hacked by now, trying to discuss that, but those are the time frames we are looking at as we move forward.
Are you able to say that second deadline that was given?
I don't have that with me right now, so thank you.
Sorry about that. Entertainment Tonight, Denny Directo.
Yes, my question actually is for Agent Yonke. There was a report that said the ransom came from an email that the FBI was actually looking into that IP address. Any updates on that?
Nothing that I can release. Thank you.
And then also, there's also conflicting reports about who was the last person to actually see Nancy and drive her home. We know she took an Uber to Annie's house, but can you confirm whether it was Annie or her son-in-law, Tommaso, who took her home that night?
I think the timeline that the sheriff provided was a family member, but
just family.
Yeah.
We're going to go with family.
Okay.
Record TV, Vandre Piera.
We are for national, so we're not familiar with the area, so we think that it's a remote area. So my question is, why is it so hard to track a car or something suspicious that have passed through the area at that night? How difficult it is, because probably cameras around or something?
Yeah, you're talking about the challenges we face in some of being in a rural area like this. Those are challenges we face all the time. We'd love it to have all the cameras in what we would consider a more urban nature type area. But once you get out into the community, that's not the only part of Tucson that is that way. And we just find ways to overcome those challenges. We don't just disregard it. We still look at ways to find for example, Ring cameras that might catch just a piece of something. It goes by, it doesn't catch the whole car. Those kinds of things. We don't give up. We still go out.
But not at least a car that came out at that night?
I can't.
I mean, like miles from your house.
We have cameras all over, and those things are being reviewed.
Arizona Republic, Richard Redless.
I'm a different person.
Did he get two?
Yeah, it's the second one.
Was that you?
Oh, sorry.
No.
All right. Thank you guys for keeping us honest. No, you already asked your question, so we're gonna go to the New York Times with Reese. And I apologize for getting your name wrong here, Reese. Thibault?
No, you're close.
Thibault.
Hi, Sheriff.
Hi.
The 212, the camera that detected movement at 212. Was that a different camera than the one that was disconnected at 147, and where was it pointed?
We don't know that. We don't know which camera that was. When we did the software, it just told us that a person was detected, but I'm unaware of which camera that was.
So there were multiple cameras, and you're not sure?
Sure. There were multiple cameras at the home. Okay.
And is there a possibility that this is not a ransom situation, and if so, what else could it be?
Your guess is as good as mine. I would say absolutely there's a possibility that this is nothing to do with a kidnapping. But we cover all angles. We're not going to dismiss something until we actually know for a fact that it's one way or the other.
People Magazine, we have Danielle Walker.
So I wanted a little more clarity to follow up on his. Is there anything more you can say? Was this actually targeted or not? Do you have any?
That's why we have the FBI to look at those areas where there may have been a target. Maybe it is a kidnapping. But no, we don't have anything to rule that out or to say it is.
And as far as the ransom notes, there was a part in there about Bitcoin. Are you looking into that now, investigating?
Yes, that's part of the investigation.
Can you go and elaborate any further if you found anything, or if there's any ties or any suspects tied to that Bitcoin?
There is not at this time.
Associated Press, Sajal Govindara.
Hi, Sheriff. Just to follow up to a
You're
prior...
Joe?
I'm sorry?
You're Joe?
Govindara.
Oh, I thought you said Joe. Okay.
Just to follow up to a prior question, you had said early in the investigation that authorities don't believe Nancy Guthrie was targeted. Why don't authorities think that Nancy Guthrie was targeted?
Who said that? Who said they didn't
You had
think
said that early in the investigation.
Boy, if I said I absolutely misspoke. I've never thought she was or wasn't targeted. We've always believed that is certainly a possibility. I mean, you'd be silly not to think that. Somebody disappears in the middle of the night out of their home. You can understand where I'm coming from. But no, if I said that, obviously I misspoke, or maybe somebody misheard me. But I've never believed that she was or was not a target.
Is there anything more specific you can say about what you believe the motive to be for this kidnapping at this time?
Motive's always going to be a question, and we'll know more as we go what that motive is. But right now, my guesswork is as good as yours.
And then we also have the final one will be from KVOA here in Tucson, Monica Garcia.
Okay, so let's talk about that 5 p.m. Did you say 5 p.m. deadline today? Is that the deadline? Oh, maybe that's for the FBI.
Yes.
Can you just give us some sound on that? Because that's a big deal. That's within hours about that 5 p.m. deadline per the ransom note.
We are.
And then what's supposed to happen after that?
So the ransom note that was distributed to the media did make a demand for 5 p.m. today, and if a transfer wasn't made, then I think a second demand was for next Monday. We're not going to go beyond that, but that was the ransom note the media received.
Did it indicate what would happen if they didn't meet that ransom? Did they?
We're not going to go into those specifics. Thank you.
5 p.m. Eastern? I'm sorry, I know it's not Arizona. Just 5 p.m.
I don't.
It's 5 p.m.
And then, sorry about that, Inside Edition, Jim Murray.
Special Agent Yonke, given the fact that the FBI participated in the creation of this family video, does that suggest your belief that the author or authors of that ransom note, in fact, have Nancy Guthrie?
Again, we're taking the ransom note serious, and we are following that part of the investigation.
And does the fact that there is a ransom note suggest to you that Nancy Guthrie was taken specifically because she's Savannah's mom?
There's nothing to indicate that.
Thank you guys so much for all of your questions. The sheriff does have just one more note about what happens next here, or what doesn't happen next.
Well, it's what happens for us is we're going to continue working. For you, though, I hope this worked out well for you. But right now, I have no plans to schedule any further press conferences unless we have some real evidence or something to bring up to you. It's pretty pointless to just keep hounding the same things over and over. And as Special Agent in Charge, Yonke said, please give us some space, and that's not just physical space. Give us some space, give my team some time, because these things do take time, and they are difficult. And everybody out there is really working hard. And mistakes are going to be made, and if I made them, mea culpa. It won't be the first mistake I've ever made, but more important than me is we want Nancy back. That's the key. Okay, so thank you very much, and thank you for your concern in this.
Thank you.
If you were looking for the...
We want Nancy back, and we still believe she is out there. That is definitely the headline from this presser in Tucson, Arizona, as we just heard from the sheriff to the FBI special agent in charge. A lot of new information we learned from this press conference, including the $50,000 reward that is now out there to anyone that can lead authorities to either the captor or captors. We also heard from the FBI. They are taking a ransom note seriously, the ransom note that was sent to various media outlets. They said that there were facts, a deadline, even a monetary amount, details that led them to believe that this ransom note was legitimate. We did also hear one of the reporters asking, was there a timeline put in that letter? You heard the FBI special agent in charge there say, yes, 5 p.m. today. Let's bring in our investigative correspondent, Aaron Kadursky. He has been there. He was inside that presser. We didn't know how much we were going to learn, Aaron, but it turns out we received a lot of new details.
Oh, we sure did, Kira. And the most important one may be that the working assumption is that Nancy Guthrie is alive, and the authorities are taking the idea that she's being held for ransom seriously, so much so that they presented a letter that had been received by a number of media outlets and by law enforcement to the family. You heard Savannah Guthrie and her siblings implore any potential captors that they're ready to talk, ready to listen. The FBI special agent in charge from Phoenix said that there were certain details that one particular note mentioned that led them to believe that it might be legitimate. There are also imposter ransom notes, if you can believe it, Kira, and at least one individual has now been taken into custody over an imposter ransom note trying to extract money and take advantage of this situation. And you heard the FBI special agent in charge say that individual would be presented in court a little bit later on today. Kira, the authorities also said that there is now a more detailed timeline, and it suggests there was a 45-minute window in the wee hours of Sunday morning when someone may have been inside Nancy Guthrie's house when the purported abduction would have occurred, sometime between 1:47 a.m. when her doorbell camera was disconnected and 2:28 a.m. when Nancy Guthrie's pacemaker app disconnected from her phone. And that's where authorities are looking to see whether a possible abduction occurred sometime in that window. But as yet, they have not been able to recover any video.
And just a couple things, if you don't mind, Aaron, I can follow up with you, and then I'll take it over to Brad Garrett, former FBI, who is one of our contributors. You talked about the cameras. They also pointed out that there wasn't going to be a way to recover any video as well, and they didn't even have a camera in their possession. Is that what I heard correctly? And the reason why they wouldn't be able to recover video is because she wasn't subscribed to the recording of video. As we know, these systems, you can choose to upgrade, pay extra money to where you can go back and look at things that have been recorded, right, earlier in the day.
That's right, and she didn't have that subscription, but the law enforcement was able to work with the proprietor of the camera, and we heard from a spokesperson for Google, which is the owner of Nest home security cameras, that they were involved in the investigation, and that did at least yield some information, because the software, even though there was no picture that the authorities were able to see, the software from one of those cameras was able to detect a person inside Nancy Guthrie's home at about 2:12 a.m. Sunday. And so that does give law enforcement officials more of a suggestion that this may have been an abduction, that there was an intruder in the home who took Nancy Guthrie against her will. The authorities also confirmed they found blood on the stoop outside the house. That blood came back to test DNA, and that did come back to Nancy Guthrie. So that does, again, lend credence to the law enforcement theory that this was an abduction. And you heard both the sheriff and the FBI special agent in charge implore any potential captors to return her safely.
You also had a couple great questions, Aaron, that you were able to take to the sheriff there inside that live press conference. Okay. Yes, let's go ahead. We actually have it, Aaron. I'm going to play it, and then let's talk about the answers you received, and I want to get your thoughts.
There information that you are purposefully withholding because of the active investigation that might be leading you in a particular direction?
You know, this is no different than any criminal investigation that we conduct here. Law enforcement has conducted investigations since 1865 here in Pima County. We're always mindful of what it is that's in front of us and what we should release and can release. There's legal guidelines that guide us, but there's also strategy too. So, I'll leave that for you to determine.
That was very telling, Aaron. Yes, there are legal guidelines, but also strategy, too, and he will leave that to you. It sounds like they are withholding some information, keeping it close to their sleeve for the sake of this investigation and the integrity of the investigation.
They must know more than they're sharing with the public because they don't appear to have very much to go on, only a theory that she was taken, but no definitive suspect or image of a possible suspect, no person of interest. But the sheriff does suggest that they do know more than they may be letting on. In a follow-up question, you heard the sheriff discuss all of the law enforcement resources now being brought to bear here in Tucson, and I asked whether they were a little slow to bring in those extra resources, and the sheriff acknowledged that that's a possibility. And this is, he said, a race against time. Nancy Guthrie is 84 years old. She relies on medication that she cannot live without.
Aaron, thank you so much. Stay with us. I want to bring Brad Garrett now, former FBI, one of our contributors. You know, we've been talking so much about how this press conference began, Brad, when the sheriff said, we believe that she's still out there. But he also did follow up when the correspondent asked, well, do you believe that she's dead or alive? And that's when he said, we operate from a position that until we know otherwise, she is alive.
And I think that's a very positive way to talk about this. He's not saying one way or the other, but he's optimistic that she's still alive.
If you want to go to... Sorry about that. To both of us there. Stay with me, Brad. I want you to just, we see that all as a very good sign that we believe that she's still out there. But then the sheriff prefacing there that, they always operate on that assumption until they know otherwise. But we should point out still we haven't seen proof of life. So that has got to be the one thing that they are all desperately hoping to get at this point, and obviously the main reason that the Guthrie kids put out that video saying, we know things can be manipulated through AI, but we need to know without a doubt where our mom is and if indeed she's alive.
No doubt. And what's interesting to me in that press conference is that I do think they don't have a handle, not their fault, but they don't have a handle on who this might be. But I found most intriguing what the FBI agent in charge said in reference to this one ransom note that's got some sort of deadline on it, excuse me, for 5 p.m., I assume that's Arizona time, that I get the sense they're working it from the standpoint of trying to ID the person who sent it, because there must be something in it that would suggest to them that this person might be involved in some form or fashion. Now, obviously, I don't know that, but there's something about the way he worded that. It sounded like they're really hot on that right now, and hopefully that will lead them someplace.
Got it. Frankel, Rich Frankel, what are your thoughts now? Because the department was getting criticized for moving too slow. Now it seems that they do believe this was an abduction, and they are saying, we believe she's still out there. They've really put things into high gear. Hopefully it's not too late. Your thoughts?
Yeah, Kira, as the sheriff said, we can 20/20, hindsight on this. But it did move slowly. When they first did it, they said they did it as a search and rescue and not an abduction. On these type of cases, as soon as you have any indication that it could be an abduction, you have to go in that direction. And then you bring in your task force to help out. The sheriff has said that he now has the locals, he's got the FBI, but really, you bring in these task forces immediately because they all bring something to the table. Pima County knows the area. They know the people in the area. You bring in the other surrounding agencies to help out with the outer perimeter and in searching for them. And then you bring in the FBI and or other federal resources so that they can start doing the analysis and looking at it from a more global perspective. Also, FBI is able to bring in the CIRG component, the Critical Incident Response Group, and the CAST unit, which is the Cellular Analysis Support Task Force. Those two groups come in, and they bring in resources that, far exceed local law enforcement. Now, I'm not knocking local law enforcement, but in these specific areas, they are specialists in behavioral science. They're specialists in hostage negotiation. They're specialists in cellular analysis. And also, it's just those additional resources that come in that free up the detectives to do the on-the-street canvass and interviews and everything that, cops do on a daily basis. So you kind of do that balance of task force officers and the officers that are on the scene and know that area.
Transition. Let's take it to Bob Boyce, who was a detective with the NYPD for many years, even head of all NYPD detectives. It's great to have Frankel and Garrett with us because they are retired FBI hostage negotiators, both of them, on a number of big cases throughout their career, and clearly giving a shout out to people like you in local law enforcement where they need detectives just as much as you need the FBI in situations like this.
Well, Richie is exactly right. The specialties here you have to bring into the thing. But you also have to have a local people as well because they know the lay of the land. The sheriff went out and said, I think this was P-Grid, what he called us. He's taken all the local things, agencies involved, and he's doing a couple things. Their data systems and their confidential informants, which is important as well. Some of the things that, listen, the FBI was brought in late into the game as far as the crime scene because they bring a lot to that, and you have to understand that as well. All kinds of specialties they can bring. So that's it. He took the weight on that. So other things I was a little surprised that he wouldn't go into the doorbell cameras, the neighbors. You're going to look for headlights at that time of day, and it can give you more. Now that you know your timeline, a succinct one. 147 entry, 228 out. That's the way I look at these things. 45 minutes, as Aaron said. That's what you're looking at inside the building. Outside of that, now that you escape. Where did they go? What roads did they leave on? In that time frame, did you see headlights somewhere going in a certain direction? Additionally, very surprising to me, they didn't cover the border, which is an hour's drive away. At this border crossing cameras you can look at in that time frame as well. He said they hadn't done that. I was really surprised at that, to be honest with you. And that's what one of my takeaways is. The FBI did a really good job. Agent Yankee did well. He just exactly went through what he was going to say, his readings. It didn't answer any more questions that were more probative into the case that they didn't want to talk about.
Do you find it's interesting that the sheriff said we believe she's still out there, also saying we have not identified a suspect or even a person of interest?
Not surprisingly, on either one of those questions that you just gave me, you always operate with the person is still alive, and you're gonna rescue them. Once you lose that, you have a problem, and then you have a decrease in resources and a decrease in energy. You never say that ever. You don't want to find Mrs. Guthrie as fast as you can. As far as the other questions, yeah, you have to keep this going as long and as hard as you can.
Got it. All right, Melissa, Dawn, also looks like we got a timeline. The FBI confirming there was a deadline in that ransom note, 5 p.m. today.
Exactly, Kira. So these are new details that we're learning, as well as to this ransom note and ransom letter. Now, we have reported that there's been multiple that were sent out to several news outlets, and that's the ones that they're focusing on. The ones that they're looking to see if there's some validity to them is the ones that were sent to the media affiliates, including Kagan, the ABC affiliate in Tucson. Now, what we have learned from FBI special agent there is in that ransom letter that they received, there is a deadline of 5 p.m. today. We're presuming local mountain time there in Arizona. That's when the ransom letter says that they want certain money by. If that deadline's not met, they have a second deadline of Monday. We don't know the time scheduled for that. Now, why is it that FBI agents are looking at this specific letter and adding that there is some validity to it? Well, the reason is there the monetary value and two certain facts that they talked about, the Apple Watch and a floodlight. Kira?
Brett Garrett, if they say they have not identified a suspect or they don't have a person of interest, Yet they say, we believe she's still out there. They confirm there's a ransom note. As you sort of piece this all together, do you think, even though they are not saying they are talking to someone, that they may be on to someone? Because the sheriff didn't deny certain names that were thrown out. He said, we're talking to everybody, from the brother-in-law to the Uber driver to the gardener. They didn't deny any questions about specific people that were mentioned as certain suspects.
Well, correct. And going back to this ransom note, depending on the sophistication level of the abductor, I'm talking about as far as covering his digital footprint, have they been able to link it back to a particular individual? Maybe not. But it's interesting, again, without any context at all, that they basically set up two deadlines, one today and one on Monday, I guess to give law enforcement time to put maybe a package together.
Got it. All right. Richard Frankel, Aaron Katursky, Brad Garrett, Melissa Don, Bob Boyce, appreciate all of you. We're going to stay on this story, of course, and have a lot more news right after this.
I've learned some really hard truths the hard way. I'm Amanda Knox. I'm a mom, I'm a writer, and I am the girl who was accused of murder. I got treatment from the media, but the media did not put me in prison. He did. So I went back to confront the man who put me in prison face to face.
I think I'm a little in shock.
When I was little watching American Idol, I was sure that I was going to find a way onto that stage. This audition is the first page of my story.
I believe in myself.
I could do this.
I belong here.
Holy crap, I'm auditioning for American Idol.
Wow.
Beautiful.
That's what it's all about.
That was impressive.
When this view is over, there's a whole other view just getting started.
Hello. Hello.
From backstage secrets.
No, that's not what I said. That's what you said.
Oh my God. To the views you didn't get to hear.
I was blown away. We're playing with fire here.
Why are so many people listening to the Views Behind the Table podcast?
I can't imagine you can keep all that.
Because nothing's off limits behind the table. Subscribe and listen now wherever you get your podcasts.
Discover why critics are roaring for Send Help.
Ready?
We're not in the office anymore.
Send Help, rated R, now playing.
This is a global operation. Get your surveillance team in place.
LAPD has agreed to help the FBI track down terrorist targets.
There's nothing like a day in the job to remind you how quickly life can change.
Get out of there.
We'll stay strong.
Tonight, the race to find Savannah Guthrie's mother, Nancy. What we now know. Plus, tracking the new storms and brutal cold. And the 700 federal agents leaving Minneapolis amid anger over the ICE-related shooting deaths. More Americans turn to World News Tonight with David Muir, America's #1 newscast.
The Super Bowl party starts tomorrow morning on GMA.
It's crunch time.
Carla Hall's cooking things up. And Brandi Carlile and Charlie Puth are bringing the music. GMA tomorrow.
We believe she's still out there. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Kira Phillips. New details, a ransom note, even a deadline. It's day 5 of the search for the missing mother of Today's Show anchor, Savannah Guthrie. And local and federal law enforcement just gave us an update on the sprawling investigation there in Tucson, Arizona. The Pima County Sheriff saying there's still no suspect. He also revealed that the blood found on Nancy Guthrie's porch does match her DNA. Investigators say the 84-year-old was abducted from her home while she was sleeping early early Sunday morning. Authorities just revealing that her doorbell camera was disconnected and that they haven't been able to locate it. We're also learning that an arrest has been made in connection with an alleged imposter ransom demand, but officials aren't confirming whether other ransom letters sent to media outlets are credible.
We believe Nancy is still out there. At this time, we have not identified a suspect or a person of interest in this case. We are working our best to do that. But to be clear, we have nobody of interest or any suspects that you would consider a prime suspect. We're just not there.
Chief Investigative Correspondent Aaron Katursky joining me now, along with retired FBI agents Richard Frankel and Brad Garrett, plus former NYPD Chief of Detectives Robert Boyce. All right, Aaron, we definitely learned a lot of new details in this press conference.
We did, Kira, and it seems the FBI, despite the apparent imposter hoax ransom letter that is now the subject of a criminal case, we did learn the FBI is taking seriously the idea that Nancy Guthrie may have been abducted for ransom. There was a letter that was received by a number of media outlets here in Tucson, including the ABC affiliate K-Gun, that had specifics, including things that Nancy Guthrie was wearing, that mentioned a deadline of 5 p.m. and a second deadline of Monday. It mentioned an amount of Bitcoin, the FBI said, and they brought that to the family. And you heard Savannah Guthrie and her siblings then issue that statement via Instagram last night that said, we're ready to talk, we're ready to listen, but we want proof that Nancy Guthrie is alive. And as yet, the authorities said they do not have that. They will find this ransom letter less credible if proof of life is not provided. But for now, they are working on that assumption, Kira, that she has been held for ransom. They are looking for some kind of sign of life and what it will take to bring her back safely.
So, Bob, the blood found on the porch and the doorbell camera being disconnected. These are two new details that we learned. How is this going to play into the investigation? Does it push it forward?
It doesn't really push that forward, but now you get a more distinct time in. When that camera's removed at 1:47, that's entry, I would assume, and that's what you have to go with that. The blood is chilling for the family to hear that. Their mother's blood is on that doorstep. What would this 84-year-old woman be doing that she needed to be bloodied up like this? Which is frightening in a way, to be honest with you. And how bad was she hurt? They're droplets, but they are of concern. So you look at that thing, it puts more emergency into this thing if there isn't enough, to be honest with you. There's plenty of. So now you operate always as she's still alive, and you're going to save her if you're the police. That's the way you look at these things. Those give you something more when you do your searches, your grid searches, which is so important in these cases. What are you seeing in the area? Headlights, anything, border crossings, ramps on parkways, all that goes into this thing, where at that time of day, it's a lot less traffic on the road, and you have to look at each one of them.
Richard, your thoughts about the new details that we received today. What stands out to you?
Just as Bob said, that the fact that we know pretty well when the person most likely made entry and when Nancy was most likely taken out. And so with that really tightens up your timeline so that when you go to the other cameras, you know, the ring cameras in the neighborhood, the cameras in the businesses in town, the border crossing cameras, all of these cameras, you can now be more specific as to when they may have gone through that. And it really tightens up that timeline. And of course, the fact that FBI is taking the ransom note seriously, that they have brought in all of those resources, the hostage negotiation team, most likely the behavioral scientists, the critical incident response group, that they are in there and they are assisting the family in moving forward. Again, they don't take over and make decisions for the family, but they are able to come in and advise the family what they would recommend and how do we get, or how did they get Nancy back safely and securely as quick as possible.
And Brad, even though there's no definitive suspect or even a person of interest, according to the sheriff, do you think authorities know more than they are letting on to here, because there was a question asked about a specific person and if they were talking to that individual, and he wouldn't deny it and made it clear that they were talking to everyone, but he still didn't deny a specific person.
And I think that's probably an accurate answer, but to your point, is there more to this than we know? I feel confident that that is the case. It may be in their ransom note in reference to who sent it, and will that lead them back to where Nancy's located? One would hope. Do I think they've ID'd that person yet? My guess is no, but maybe. So, you have to sort of go with what nuggets you have. And it doesn't appear you're going to get photographs from the cameras at the house. You do, or I know at least, that she is harmed in some way if there's blood, her blood on the front porch. And again, only going by the doorbell cameras, this person was in the house for almost 45 minutes at least, which obviously had a comfort level that nobody was going to bother him while he was in there. And so I do think they're inching towards something here. Now, what something is, we obviously don't know. But I get the sense of, at least from the FBI, that they might be onto something.
And Aaron, it sounds like we are not going to hear from the sheriff or have another one of these press conferences until they actually have something for us.
Yeah, he does not seem eager to just come out and talk every day unless there is something to talk about. And today he gave us the most detailed timeline that we've heard. And you heard Brad reference there that 45-minute window. It begins at 1:47 a.m. Sunday morning, and that's when a doorbell camera gets disconnected. At 2:12 a.m. there is a camera that doesn't capture an image, but it senses that there's a person inside Nancy Guthrie's home. And then at 2:28 a.m. that's when the sheriff said Nancy Guthrie's pacemaker app disconnected from her phone. So that roughly 45-minute window is when it appears the authorities believe she may have been abducted. Now they say it's certainly possible, and they're taking this seriously. She's being held for ransom with a deadline of 5 p.m. today or maybe sometime on Monday. There's a $50,000 reward the FBI is now offering Kira for information leading to either Nancy Guthrie's safe return or to an arrest and conviction of someone involved in her disappearance.
Bob, do you think it was a good idea for detectives to turn over Nancy Guthrie's home to her family, even though it's still an active investigation? Would you have done that as a detective?
No, I wouldn't have done that. I said that before. I'm not holding him accountable to that. We'll see if there's any damage to that. But now you have a contaminated crime scene. You may have a contaminated crime scene by turning that over to other people. They even had an Amazon worker go up to the front door and drop a package off. So that's something that you want to get back, but you can't get it back. So you just go forward. But the big thing here is the FBI not getting into till last night, which surprised me a little bit. I thought they'd be right in there with all the resources, or most of them anyway. So that's something that you don't want to make again. And the sheriff took it on the chin. But yeah, so it's let's see. I hope it doesn't play a big role.
Rich and Brad, I know you were both hostage negotiators with the FBI. I want to go ahead and play the family's gut-wrenching video that we all saw this morning. Let's listen to it, and then would love to get your response.
Our mom is our heart and our home. She is 84 years old. Her health, her heart is fragile. She lives in constant pain. She is without any medicine. She needs it to survive. She needs it not to suffer. We too have heard the reports about a ransom letter in the media. As a family, we are doing everything that we can. We are ready to talk. However, we live in a world where voices and images are easily manipulated. We need to know, without a doubt, that she is alive and that you have her. We want to hear from you, and we are ready to listen. Please reach out to us.
Brad, just listening to that, using words like mommy, talking about her mom in loving ways, your grandkids miss you, we want to speak to you, we want to know if she's alive. Clearly, they were encouraged to make this video and use certain words and expressions, yes?
No doubt. One key in any sort of discussion, so to speak, with the bad guys is that you want to humanize the victim as much as possible. And Savannah does a wonderful job of that. I'm sure she wrote those words. Probably the FBI or negotiators helped with words like using mommy and sort of building this very compassionate, loving, caring 84-year-old mother. To maybe, can you tap on the bad person's heartstrings? Well, I mean, they just abducted somebody and may have harmed them and taken them out of the house, so you don't know how far that's going to go. But having said that, there's also, when these things happen, typically there is more than one person involved. And I'll tell you why, is it's hard to hold people. And so as a result, could, for example, that presentation, those words by Savannah hook a co-worker, a female, for example, that's maybe taking care of Nancy. So, you know, that's the other plus side. But she said all of the right things in reference to humanizing Nancy. And then also the discussion about we want to talk to you, but we need proof of life before we're going to do that, and even said, you know, don't send us anything fake or AI driven. We need the real thing. And so, you know, we'll have to see where that goes, but clearly teed the ball up for things to happen. And if that, for whatever reason, links up with this so-called ransom note, it could be interesting to see how the two maybe could play off each other to get to a resolution in this case.
And Rich, within all your experience at the FBI, do videos like this usually work?
I don't know if we can say that they usually work, but I do know that they have worked. There are cases that I've worked, I would imagine, Brad, same thing, where we have had these videos out there, and they appeal to the empathy of the hostage taker, and that you talk about how you're going to get what you're looking for. You will get a quote-unquote successful resolution, but only if the person is returned safely. And that is the carrot and the draw, is that you're telling them, we will work with you. All we care about is getting, Nancy or any victim back safely, and that is our goal. And we will do what we need to make that happen. And so, yes, it has worked in the past, and hopefully on this occasion they've hit those right drawers to get the hostage taker to at least engage in how to get Nancy back to the family.
Bob, final question. In an AI world, in a deep fake world, how do you get proof of life that's legit nowadays? How do you know?
How do you determine it? With what you see? And there's experts out there far greater than me who can tell you that if they see an image of Nancy, if they'll be able to determine if it's real life or not. And that's going to be done at the FBI level and and maybe even sent out to a lab to do that. So that's the way you're going to do that. And that's where we're going with this thing. Also, Kira, keep your people plugged in. You're 5 days into this. Everybody's getting tired now. Lack of sleep, all these things. Keep them going forward. Keep them out there working. Keep them out there doing those things. And also bring as much expertise you can to this investigation, especially those emails and that cryptocurrency part of that ransom.
Aaron, Brad, Bob, Rich, thank you all. So great to have all of you and your expertise and all your reporting. And the FBI continues to ask all of you that if you have any information related to this case, to contact them at the number that you see right there on your screen. We'll be right back.
Devastating mystery coming out of Columbus, Ohio.
This mystery of what happened to a dentist and his stay-at-home wife.
There's a double murder suspect on the loose.
A dentist and his wife found shot to death inside their home. The urgent search for answers.
There's no gun found at the house. They were hunting for an assailant.
This case got a lot of clicks on social media. People want to try to make sense of it.
Bombshell accusations.
New video tonight of a person of interest.
They're divorced 8 years ago. It doesn't make any sense.
We were totally blindsided. Spencer and Monique were some of the kindest and just most inviting people.
Their smiles were infectious.
Everything just seemed totally normal.
And then all of a sudden, all of that comes crashing down in the worst way that it could. Things like that just don't happen.
And the details are puzzling.
The perfect couple inside the Ohio murders. Now streaming on Disney Plus and Hulu.
ABC's Nightline. The stories that shape your world, that shape your life. Dramatic, stunning, empowering, life-changing. For 45 years, the most powerful stories of our time.
This is Nightline.
Wherever the story is, Nightline will take you there. Just because it's late night doesn't mean you should be in the dark. For a brighter take on the day, this is ABC's Nightline. Late night on ABC.
Simon Williams, auditioning for Wonder Man.
Assuming you don't have superpowers.
Yeah.
The real you isn't your condition.
It's impossible for superpowered individuals to perform in major motion pictures.
I'll never work again if anyone found out.
My lips are sealed.
Marvel Television's Wonder Man. All 8 episodes now streaming, only on Disney Plus.
Big chill in the Big Apple and Beantown. Dangerous cold set to hammer the Northeast this weekend. More snow headed for the upper Midwest tomorrow before moving into the Northeast on Saturday. Some places in New York could see wind chills so cold you can actually get frostbite in as little as 10 minutes. Meteorologist Brittany Bell from our station WABC in New York has all the details for us. Hey, Brittany.
I'm tracking another blast of bitterly cold Arctic air coming in this weekend. Also, a quick moving area of snow. I want to start with the snow timing. First, it initially starts late